What's going on today, guys? Welcome back to an episode of WNN, your source for the music and music production news. What is that accent? We're gonna check out this new plugin from Oeksound, the makers of Soothe, as well as talk about the FL Studio 21.3 update. Dunking on Ableton again. Sad world. They did not beat me up and force me to talk about it. If you're wondering about this here, they absolutely did not. Ableton, don't think you're gonna have to beat me up to make me talk about your stuff positively as well. Just please don't hurt me. Just please, everyone, stop kicking my ass. I can't take it anymore. I can't take any more ass kickings. In our first story, Image Line has released the FL Studio 21.3 beta. It's actually the 21.2.99 beta, but these guys are full of themselves. Okay, Ableton paid me to say that, all right? In this version, there is a new vintage synth named Kepler XO, as well as a non-destructive stereo imager, an AI chord generation tool. Wow, totally groundbreaking stuff. Good job. Totally not jealous right now. There is a note repeat for the piano roll, as well as clap plugin support. They decided to replace the username with the license number for privacy when people are streaming. Guys, I have a better idea. Maybe just cover it up when people are recording or streaming. Just have nothing there. Or is it because you want to be able to monitor whether or not people have paid for your product? A little invasive in my opinion. It's weird because on one hand, FL Studio is great with their free updates. On the other hand, they're kind of fucking weird for monitoring people. As you guys may remember in the past, Curtis King actually got busted for this. Sorry, Curtis, but I'm not sure how you didn't think to cover it up. You know, just take the Gaussian blur tool, put it over it, or just put a fucking black bar over it in fucking OBS, dude. Anything. And if they ask any questions, tell them to fuck themselves. All right, so this Kepler XO looks a little bit like a Reason plugin, dare I say. Kind of interesting how they decided to blend the light and dark mode together. It has two oscillators, frequency modulation, filter, envelopes, LFOs, an extra filter for high passing, arpeggiator, mod matrix, some effects. It's intended to sound vintage, supposedly similar to the Juno 6 trademark and the Jupiter 8 trademark. Chord progressions are important because they are the harmonic foundation that creates the emotions in your music. So what better way to add emotion to your music than have a computer do it for you? I don't feel things. I don't know emotions, so I'm gonna have the computer do it. It has more emotions than me. And I'm definitely not just hating right now because I am a Ableton Andy and you guys are a bunch of FL Franks. I will say this, I do have some privacy, all right? If I wanted to pirate my software, nobody's gonna know about it, all right? I don't have to display my name or my license. Another thing they released in this beta is the Spreader, kind of a horny name if you ask me. It is a non-destructive stereo imager that is compatible with mono systems, which is important when you are doing stereo imaging, unless you just want your sound to disappear in mono. Clap is a clever audio plugin, open source architecture. It is a plugin format introduced by Yuhi and Bitwig in 2022. FL Studio has decided to add it to their system. There are several other changes as well, large amount of bug fixes. If you guys want to check out the FL Studio beta, linked in the description. Obviously, you have to have a licensed copy of FL, and heaven forbid you stream or record and don't own the copy. They're gonna you an ass. In our next story, Oeksound, the creators of Soothe, have released a new multiband tone shaping tool. They state that it will help control irregularities in a rough sound by adding warmth, clarity, or brightness in a safe and controlled fashion. Now I'm gonna be honest, whoever does their marketing and advertising needs to get fired because they did not sell me on this at all. Explain to me why this is better than Soothe. Explain to me why this is better than an EQ or a multiband compressor or even Gullfoss, which is probably the closest thing you can compare this to. Convince me to spend $200 on it, especially if you aren't gonna have any sort of introductory sale. Yeah, I'm gonna get into that a little bit later. Now, before you spurg out, I know it is a bit different than Soothe. Soothe is a dynamic resonance suppressor, and this is a multi-band tonal shaping tool. But they both control frequencies and portions of sound. While this will increase frequencies in a certain area, as well as reduce them. For instance, they state here what we wish an EQ would do, which is funny. You could literally put Soothe there and put what we wish an EQ would do. So the example they gave here through text is you can boost the high end of vocals without emphasizing unwanted sibilance. That would be the main difference between this and an EQ. They also state here that it can work as something you put on your entire mix or an individual track to help you mix something. Now obviously, while this plugin automatically does work for you, you also have control over the band frequencies as well as how much it's applying the effect to each band. It's also mid-side and left and right compatible. When squash is engaged, Bloom applies frequency dependent upward and downward compression to reduce the dynamic range of the signal and mold it towards the specified shape. Use it to subtly bring out detail or dramatically overemphasize it, adding grit without saturation. Now, for some reason, halfway, maybe even 3/4 down the website, they finally explain what it is. Don't know why that's not one of the first things, but whatever. So in addition to being a quick broad strokes EQ tool, Bloom can be thought of as our take on a color box. It can give character, glue, or grit to a sound in a way that fits your vision. You might even use it in place of a dynamic EQ, multiband compressor, saturator, or even compressor, but it falls under none of these categories. We call it an adaptive tone shaper. Now, Buddy Ross here, the person they got a quote from on this, actually does a better job selling it than they do in this entire website. I've had access to the Bloom beta for a couple months before release, and it's made its way onto every project I've been working on since. Bloom has been great for giving life to any track or bus that isn't holding my attention enough or that I can't wrangle with individual plugins. I like to throw a couple instances in series on my instrumental bus and just sift through presets to add new dimensions to things I didn't even realize were dull before. My go-to presets are Bye Bye Boxiness, Parallel Soft Width, Side Exciter, and Mix Bus Sheen. Let's look at this video here. All right, so 10 minutes. What the fuck? Maybe it takes 10 minutes to explain why it's so good. Maybe that's the issue.
It analyzes the incoming signal and applies corrections to the perceived tonal balance of a sound. Because Bloom is adaptive, these corrections are...
I feel like he's reading a prompter or something. Like it's like he is looking right above the camera. Am I the only one noticing that? I should do the same thing right now. Am I the only one noticing that? Do you think he's reading from a prompter? How kind of how it looks like I am right now?
Dynamic, constantly changing depending on the incoming signal. Since 2018, we at Oeksound have been looking into warmth and presence in...
Oeksound? I always thought it was Oeksound.
We developed an algorithm that refines the tonal balance of...
I feel like they're making it sound more groundbreaking than it really is. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just saying I don't think it's as groundbreaking as they are making it sound. Like, what is the difference between this and Gullfoss? $9, obviously, because that's the difference in price. But obviously, it's like Gullfoss with more controls. Holy shit. Wait, random discovery here on this Gullfoss website. Dude, this guy is a PS2 character. The correction on this picture is insane.
Bloom is the culmination of 6 years of research, development...
6 years? They're sounding like Unison Audio right here. Yeah, we spent over $4 million and 55 years.
...and critical listening. It is by far our most complex processor to date. A lot of effort has also gone into...
It's so complicated, we struggled to even explain it very well. It's so complicated, I don't even know what the fuck it does.
This acoustic guitar track sounds a bit too dark for the song I'm working on, and it has some buildup in the low-mid frequencies.
Okay, so I guess I could see how this could be useful. If you're trying to bring out, those frequencies you're not getting because it sounds dark, the recording's dark, it doesn't have a lot of highs. Maybe it'll bring out the highs without bringing up the noise, I'm guessing.
Let's load up Bloom on this track. The plugin loads with the main amount control at its midway position. From the processing graph, we can already see Bloom carving away the boominess at around 200 Hz and another frequency buildup around 1 kHz. The center axis of the graph represents the original frequency response, while the moving graph shows the changes in relation to the original signal. Bloom isn't only making cuts though. It's adding brightness at around 8 kHz and also some low end, which we don't need in this context.
I feel like this is a pretty good example here.
Okay, the track now sounds more balanced with less boominess and more clarity. This amped electric bass track sounds a bit dull and muddy. Let's load up Bloom and turn up the amount a bit. You can see from the processing graph that Bloom is mainly targeting the low end and reacting to the...
It'd be nice if it had profiles as well, right? Like if you could be like, hey, make it sound like a bass guitar. This is a bass guitar I'm inputting here. I'm sure you could use presets and maybe it'll adjust other settings to do that.
Dynamically cutting the high mids whenever the pick attack is the dominant part of the signal. With the tone controls on the right side, you can push the tonal balance to your taste. Let's try bringing back some low end by raising the lows. It's important to note that the tone controls are not static EQ bands. They affect the analysis of the full signal and guide the algorithm to make adjustments towards your needs.
This is a great before and after in my opinion. Now we're going to get into the juicy part. This is where it gets fun. So you may have noticed earlier I mentioned it's $209 and there is no introductory price. It's pretty typical for plugin companies to have an intro price to try to get people to buy the plugin. Basically, a lot of people in the comment section were questioning, why is there no introductory price? Why is there no loyalty discount? None of that. Let's look at what they have to say here. Great. Any discount on Bloom if you own Spiff and Soothe? Thank you for asking. There was no loyalty discount for Bloom because we believe in the value of our product. And it's up to the user to decide whether their experience matches the value. We don't think owning our previous plugins is a good reason for buying Bloom. We encourage everyone to use a 20-day trial to demo the plugin and see if it's worth the price. Okay, pretty normal response there. I actually got an Instagram DM from one of my followers, a guy named Brian. I'm not going to reveal his whole name. I'm not sure if he wants me to. He sent me his interaction with Oeksound through email. This one's a lot weirder. I mean, it starts off in a similar way. It goes in kind of a weird direction though. It's very interesting mental gymnastics here. They're experts at it, really. They're athletic as fuck. Okay, so it starts off in the same sort of way, basically the same exact copy paste response there, but it gets really fucking weird at the end here. I have no idea why they added on this extra part here, but it makes them look crazy. The way we see it, loyalty discounts and introductory sales, coupons, flash sales, excessive bundles for that matter, can be almost a predatory tactic. Excuse me, what? Yes, you heard that right. Loyalty discounts, predatory tactic. Well, almost a predatory tactic. Why would you make that comparison? I don't know. I don't see how it's a predatory tactic unless it's like a fake sale. An introductory sale for people wanting to check it out right when you release it, that's not that weird. It's not predatory. It's just you giving them a discount for being an early adopter, believing in you early on, helping you make your first money on the plugin. And they claim it does this by creating a sense of urgency, which by that virtue, all sales are almost predatory tactics to create a sense of urgency. Really, to me, it just seems like a mental gymnastic to get around the idea of them getting paid less money. Them doing the first part, totally fine. I mean, them saying this at all is totally fine. Like they don't owe us anything. They don't owe us, well, unless you pay them money for the plugin, then they owe you the plugin, obviously. But they don't owe us anything. They don't owe us any sort of sale or anything like that. But it's just weird to call it a predatory tactic, or sorry, almost predatory tactic. Okay, let's continue here. This is just juicy stuff. We feel that such schemes introduce uncertainty by muddying the waters and reduce the fairness and stability of the pricing. I mean, I feel like it only muddies the water of them making as much money as possible. Now, am I saying you shouldn't buy this plugin because of that response? No. I mean, it's totally up to you. I still think it is a pretty good plugin. I still think they could have marketed it better. Just interesting mental gymnastics. Probably would leave that last part out when responding to people. But if that plugin interests you, I'll link it in the description. Oeksound Bloom. I mean, I might want to get it myself, but $200? Ooh, it's kind of a lot. It's kind of a lot for how subtle it sounds. Could you do that with something else though? Probably. I'm sure there are instances where it's better than an EQ. All right, that's it for this episode of WNN. If you enjoyed it, press the like button. Subscribe if you're new here. If you press the like button on this video, I will not reveal to ImageLine that you are pirating your copy of FL Studio, you piece of shit. You better press the like button on this fucking video. I'm going to tell them. We know where you are. I have your license information. I have your social. I got it all, okay? Anyways, they beat me up. I'm in contact with them. Press the like button. If you want to support the channel, consider joining my Patreon or becoming a channel member for as low as $5. You get access to exclusive content that I post essentially weekly, as well as some other goodies. I'll see you guys next time.
Bang Incorporated.